Okay, welcome back to A New York State of Mind. Hi, I'm your host, Ralph Miranda, along with our co-host, Nathan Miranda. And today we're going to be talking about the Yankees' recently completed series against the Seattle Mariners. The Yankees, if you remember, opened the season with a sweep of the San Francisco Giants in San Francisco. Then they went to Seattle to take on the Mariners. The Mariners, a team that was in the American League Championship Series last year and were just a couple outs away from getting to the World Series before, of course, Toronto came back and won that series. So the Yankees were facing, a pretty good test when you think about the fact that the Mariners were such a good team last year, especially with their home run hitter, Cal Raleigh, playing catcher. But the Yankees started out not so good. They lost the first game 2-1, which, again, same old problem for the Yankees, right? I mean, they had 5 hits on the night. Stanton had 2 of them. In fact, Stanton, we'll talk about this in a minute. Giancarlo Stanton has had 2 hits in just about every game the Yankees have played this year. So he's been kind of on fire, if you will. But he had 2 hits. Judge actually had a hit the first night. Bellinger, no hits. Rice had a hit. And Caballero had a hit at shortstop. Pitching-wise, remember the Yankees were down to their 4th starter, Ryan Weathers. He went 4.1 innings, gave up 4 hits, an earned run, and 7 strikeouts and 2 walks. So not a bad outing. I mean, he only gave up 1 run. Couldn't get to the 5th inning, but the bullpen came in and pretty much was pretty good. I mean, Cruz, Bird, Hedrick, Doval all pitched. None of them gave up any runs. Of course, in the bottom of the 9th, Blackburn came in. They didn't bring in Bednar because it really wasn't a safe situation. But he came in at a 1-1 game and gave up a home run, or not a home run, gave up a single to Cal Raleigh to win the game. So the Yankees lose that first game 2-1. The next night, I guess this was Tuesday night, the Yankees came back strong, defeating the Mariners 5-0. Again, Max Fried was on the mound for the Yankees. After his great opening start in San Francisco, he went 7 innings, gave up 3 hits, struck out 6, walked 1. And then, of course, the bullpen was Hedrick and Hill, and all they had to do was pitch 2 pretty clean innings. The Yankees had 9 hits in that second game. Grisham had 2. Judge, again, no hits, 2 strikeouts. Bellinger, 2 hits. Rice, 2 hits. Stanton, again, 2 hits. Chisholm, 1 hit. That was it for the Yankees from a hit standpoint on that night. But a strong 5-0 win for the Yankees. And then on Wednesday night, in the final game of the series, the Yankees win again 5-3. In that game, the Yankees had 6 hits. So they actually did a good job of piecing those hits together to score runs. Judge, again, no hits. Rice had 2 hits. Stanton had the night off. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Goldschmidt had the hit. Actually, Goldschmidt hit a home run. Rice hit a home run as well to give them that 5-3, or at that time a 5-2 lead going into the 9th inning. And then Bednar came in for the save, only giving up 1 run in that 9th inning. The key, again, that night, Wednesday night, was Cam Schlittler. Schlittler went 6.1 or 6 1/3 innings, 2 hits, 7 strikeouts, no walks. So he's been absolutely phenomenal this season so far. He and Max Fried have been phenomenal. So the Yankees win that one. They go to 5-1 on the season. They had Thursday night off, and today, as we are recording this, they are playing the Miami Marlins in their home opener at Yankee Stadium. Last I saw, the Yankees were ahead 2-1 in that game. 2-1. Judge hit a 2-run home run to give them that lead. The Marlins hit a home run against Warren in the first inning as well. So, Nathan, you tell me if I'm wrong in thinking this, but I'm starting to see a little bit of a pattern, if you will, especially with the pitching. So far, Fried and Schlittler, lights out. But when we get to Warren and Weathers, which I know those guys probably won't be in the rotation when we get Cole and Rodon back, but still, you see the drop off from Schlittler to those guys. Not that those guys have pitched horribly, but they're not quite the level of sharpness that the first 2 guys are, and that's where we're seeing some issues with the Yankees. And then the second thing I see, which I want you to comment on, is obviously the hitting. I mean, Judge has not gotten hot yet. Now, he hit a home run today, as I said. He's got 3 now, but he's not hitting for average yet. We're not seeing any hitting out of the same suspects from last year, Wells and McMahon. Caballero's been hitting okay. Stanton's really been the glue that's been holding this team together. Bellinger's had a couple good games. So what do you think? Am I off on that, or is it still too early to tell?
Well, I mean, pretty much every team there's going to be significant drop off from their aces or from their top 2 stars to their other starters, right? So that's probably nothing. Do you think the Yankees? Do you think the bottom of their rotation is any worse than other teams comparatively?
Hard to say. I don't know. I mean, probably not.
Yeah, I don't know. And then plus, like you said, those guys not going to be in the rotation soon, hopefully. So I don't think that's a big problem really. But the Judge thing could be a problem. He's gonna eventually hit, like we've talked about.
He will.
It doesn't mean he's going to have the season he had last year. But see, the thing is, he never really hits. Well, I shouldn't say that. He was hovering around 400 for a lot of time last year. People thought he could do it or whatever. But he's typically not an average hitter.
No, he's not.
I mean, like hitting for average type of guy. So that plus the fact that I don't think he's going to have the kind of production he had last year, probably. Just because, for one, it's tough to reproduce that because he had an MVP year last year.
Right.
And two, I know that's still early, but I mean, at what point do you start saying? How long can you keep saying it's early? You know what I mean?
Right.
He's had 2. The first series, it's been 1 game. It's been 2 games. Oh, it's been 1 series. Oh, it's been 2 series. He had a home run today, great, but I mean, if he goes 1 for 4 today and throws on another strikeout or 2, is it really improving yet? You know, not really.
Right.
Does he have a hit this season that's not a home run? I don't think he does.
I think he's got 1.
Okay.
I think he's got 1 hit that's not a home run. But
So,
all the other 3 hits have been home runs.
So he's not going to continue this type of struggle, but you know, if he doesn't perform near where he usually does for the whole season, like we talked about, do you think the Yankees could still make a World Series if their pitching remains this good and Cole comes back and Rodon comes back and they're just as good as they were before the injuries? Do you think they can make a World Series with a less productive Aaron Judge?
Yeah, I think they can, but I think it's going to take other guys stepping up. Okay, I mean, look, what Aaron Judge did last year was phenomenal, right? Over 50 home runs, he hit over 300, won the batting title. I mean, that's amazing when you think about a guy that hits over 50 home runs, also wins the batting title. So yeah, he was absolutely phenomenal. But let's say he has, for him, what would be a bad year, but for most players would be a great year. Let's say he hits 30 home runs and he hits 270. Okay, that's not terrible, but you're still going to have support from these other guys. I mean, Bellinger, he's an on and off player. He's about a 270, 280 hitter maybe, which is okay. Goldschmidt is a platoon player. We talked about that the last podcast we did, why they begged him to come out of retirement. I don't understand that. But you're going to start having some hitting from the bottom guys in the lineup. You got to have McMahon hit a little bit. You got to have Wells hit a little bit. You got to have it. Volpe will be back in when he comes back. I guarantee you. He's going to have to hit a little bit. I mean, those guys, they don't need to hit great, but they got to hit at least 250. Okay. I mean, that's not asking a whole lot for a major leaguer to me to hit 250. But what have they been hitting? 220, 208, 211. I mean, you can't have that from these guys. Chisholm's another guy. I mean, all I heard last year was, 30-30. Okay, well, that's great. He hit over 30 home runs. He stole over 30 bases. But the guy was a defensive nightmare last year, a liability. And he's not necessarily – he runs into pitches as far as instead of being a good hitter, in my opinion. So you got to have these guys step up. You got to have some consistency throughout the lineup for them to make the World Series, in my opinion. Now, are they going to make the playoffs? Absolutely. I mean, the Yankees are probably going to win 90 games again. They might even win close to 100 games, all right? But you still got to get through 3 series, all right? And let's face it, 2 years ago when they made the World Series, they really got pretty fortunate, okay? I mean, they played the Royals. They played the I forget who it was now off the top of my head, but I know they had a pretty easy road to the playoffs. Okay,
I'll look it up.
Yeah, look it up for me real quick. But I know they played the Indians, the Royals, the Indians, and I think the Indians were in the American League Championship Series, and the Indians took them to 6 games, if you remember. So my point is they couldn't do it last year, right? They got a wild card. We're lucky to beat the Red Sox, and then we're destroyed by the Blue Jays.
Yeah, they won the divisional series over the Royals. They won the ALCS over the Indians or the Guardians. That's what you.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, and then they went to the World Series, right? So they avoided the Orioles, who were pretty good that year, and they avoided I think it was one other team that I remember. Maybe it was the Tigers. I don't remember, but that's my point. Is they have not shown the Yankees that they have the ability to win when the pressure's on. Okay, and that's kind of, I mean, we can argue and talk all day long about the Yankees, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that will. And as we go through the season, they're going to have hot streaks. They're going to look like world beaters. They're going to have cold streaks. Every team goes through it. But when you talk about the Yankees or the Dodgers or you pick whatever other team you want, the Red Sox or whatever, their seasons are going to be measured on how do they do in the playoffs. Do they make the playoffs, and how do they do in the playoffs? And that's where I think the Yankees have not proven to me, all right, that they've been able to get that done, all right. And I think that's going to be the test. But to answer your original question, I don't think they can get to the World Series without Judge putting up the numbers he used to put up. If he doesn't put those up, they're going to have better performance from these other guys in the lineup.
And it looks like Stanton's going to be giving the better performance than what he has been recently, if he keeps it up. So
Stanton's he's been excellent. They
need to play him all the time, though. I don't know why.
Well, that's why I said we'd talk about that later. Is the Yankees have already come out and said Stanton has had a lot of injuries, right? We know that he's a very muscular guy. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I think it does. He doesn't play the field. All right, he had to play it some last year when Judge got hurt, but that was by necessity. So he's been averaging over the last 5 years with his injuries, he's been averaging 108 games a season, okay? So the Yankees want him to be able to play about 130 to 140 games this year. So they're going to give him a day off like every 5 games, okay? Well, the guy's making $40 or $32 million a year, okay? They're under contract for another 2 years after this one, I believe, 27 and 28. Let me see, 18, 19, 20, that's 3. Maybe next year is their last year with Stanton. I don't know, under contract. But he's got to play. And this is another thing I don't understand. Okay, maybe you can help me. Maybe someone can post a comment and tell me why I'm wrong on this. But you're a Major League Baseball player, all right? Stanton's not that old. What is he, 36, 37 maybe? Okay. I think we looked it up once. I know.
He's 36.
He's 36. Okay. So, that's not that old. You're a Major League Baseball player. You travel, on charter planes. You stay in fancy hotels. You work out. You have workout facilities. You don't play the field even. Okay. He doesn't play the field. All he does is hit. Okay. Why does he need a day off? Are they that afraid that he's going to hurt himself hitting? I don't get it. I mean, let his day off be the days off that you have as a team. That's what I don't understand at all. I don't even understand it for guys that play every day, to be honest with you. I mean, you're playing a game, for goodness sakes. Football players don't get a week off just because of rest. So that's a whole other issue. And I think Stanton needs to play every day, all right? And if they're that worried about him getting hurt, then they need to cut bait and get rid of him after his contract runs out, which they probably will anyway, because they're not going to pay him another contract like he's got. But anyway, that's my point. But that's the problem you're going to have with Stanton right now is playing all the time. But still, we talked about this last podcast. The Yankees have basically run it back. They're not a different team than they were last year. Now, they'll tell you that they are, because they'll say, well, these guys that we picked up at the trade deadline, like Caballero and Rosario and Bednar and Doval and McMahon, these are guys that we didn't have all last year. So now we're going to have the whole year this year. So we're basically a different team. Well, I don't buy that, okay? So you're no different this year. In fact, the only difference you're going to have this year, the only difference when all is said and done, is you're going to have Cole in the line of pitching, okay? Because Rodon pitched last year. So is adding Garrett Cole to the exact same team that we had last year going to make the difference with this team? I don't think so, unless they perform exactly like they did last year.
But Rodon wasn't available all season, was he, last year?
Pretty much. I mean,
maybe I'm thinking of...
Pretty much he was.
Let's see, games... Yeah, looks like he was.
Yeah, he got hurt late in the end of the season, I think, which yeah, so you're not really a different team. And see, this is why I think this is an asinine argument the Yankees are making. Because if you bring Cole in And all those guys from last year have the same year. Judge hits 50 home runs and hits 330. Grisham hits 34 home runs. Chisholm steals 30 bases and hits 30 home runs. Stanton does what he did if he does what he did for half a year last year, extrapolated out to a full year, all these things happen, let's say. Yeah, then I think you got an excellent chance because now you got an extra arm in the bullpen and you got Cam Schlittler to pitch a lot more than he did last year. But that's not going to happen. Chisholm's not going to hit 34 Grisham's not going to hit 34 home runs. Chisholm's not going to hit 30 home runs. I don't see the same performance coming from this team, which leads me to believe that they're going to be any better. All right. And we talked about last week some of the moves that I thought they should make with first base and other plays. So anyway, that's my spiel. Now, right now, I mean, they could come out of the gate 20-2 the first 22 games. I don't know. I mean, they may run away with the division, but I still don't think they're going to win the thing. I really don't.
So you mean the World Series?
The World Series, yeah, right. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on all that? Am I ranting or what's?
Well, I've said before too. If you take the fact that this is the Yankees out of the equation, you just say if I was just going to lay out the situation for you and just tell you it was a Major League Baseball team. I told you what their record was last year, how far they went last year. Then if you say and they just ran it back, they're going to run it back the next season. You may say, well, okay, like especially if it's not just a random team. If it's a team that's a small market team that doesn't have a big payroll, then they got that far and they want to see if they can do it again. I can understand that. In other words, they don't really have the means to make great improvements. Maybe some teams, right? They don't have the money to. Free agents don't want to sign there necessarily. Some places,
right?
But the Yankees they're very good last year. They're going to be very good this year. But I don't understand them not doing anything when you consider the fact that there's no reason for them not to. They have the money to. People want to play in New York. It's a big market. They can they can pretty much get anybody they want to because people are going to want to go there and they can pay anybody anything.
Right.
So when you take that to the equation, why not? And no team is perfect, and they would even admit there's obvious places they could improve at. So why not spend the money and do it? And if you're the Rays and you can't spend the money and do it, fine. But the Yankees can. So
amen. I agree with that. Look at it this way: the problem with the Yankees is the management. Okay, we've talked about this before. Hal Steinbrenner. All he wants to do is make money, okay? Which there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I think that's great. But come out and say that. Say, look, we're just concerned about profit, all right? Because his father was concerned about winning, all right? And I think all your sports now, you have very few owners that really want to win. A lot of them just want to rake in the cash. And now they'll do a little things here and there. They don't really care, okay? So that's the problem right there, all right? The second thing is, you know as well as I do that in sports, if you're standing still, you're going backwards, okay? And you have to constantly be improving on the things that you did wrong. And you note this too, no team is the same the next year, okay? For example, I mean, you played on a high school state championship. I played on a national championship team. If you bring those same teams back the next year, in high school you did, in college it's not the same. It's the chemistry is different. Guys get hurt. Guys go down in production. Some guys do a little better. You have all sorts of. There's too many variables going on to say, hey, yeah, we're going to run it back and we're going to be able to do it. I just don't think you have to make some moves to get better. You just said it. There are some things you do well, and some things you do bad. You got to improve the things you do bad.
If you have the ability to, and the Yankees have the ability. If you don't have the money to do it to sign these guys, so be it. But they have it. If anybody should be running it back, it's the Dodgers, but they didn't. They went out and made moves.
Amen. There you go.
They're the exact same situation as the Yankees, being that they have the money, they're in a big market that attracts big talent, and they went out and did it.
You're exactly right. Why? Because they want to win. That's the bottom. And see, that's the fact. That's the thing that none of these guys want to talk about. Michael Kay, who I think's a moron, and these other guys right here. I mean, that's all they keep talking about. Oh well, the Yankees are this. No, is they do not want, the ownership does not really care about winning. Hey, if they run into a World Series win, yeah, that'd be great. But they're not doing what they need to do to win a World Series. The Dodgers are. That's the difference.
And I give the Mets credit too. They should have done everything in their power. Maybe they did. I don't know, to keep Alonso.
Right.
But they still they had a disappointing year last year. They lost Alonso, but they still try to make moves and shake things up. They tried to improve.
I'm glad you brought up the Mets. Here's the difference, though. Look at the Mets last year. The Mets last year were expected to be a really good team, right? All right. They won, I think, 83 or 84 games. Kind of underachieved, right? They didn't use the same argument of the Yankees. Now, you can say, well, the Yankees won 94 games and got to the second round of the playoffs. But if anybody should have said we're going to run it back, it should be the Mets, right? They had a really good team. They should have said, look, we think we got a really good team. We were supposed to win it this year. Let's run it back and do it next year. No, they made moves. They made changes, okay? They may be good, they may be wrong. But every year you got to try and say there is a reason why we didn't win a World Series.
And again, the only time you might even want to say, let's just try to repeat it, is if you won the World Series.
Right.
If you didn't, then there's no reason to try to repeat it to begin with.
Right. And even then, you have to make a change.
Right. Even then, the Dodgers have won the last two, and they made changes.
Right. I mean, so I don't know. Enough about that, but we'll see. So let's leave it at that. The Yankees now 5-1. Let me give you a quick update. I know this by the time you all hear this, it'll be obviously common news. But the Yankees are still up 2-1. They're in the bottom of the second against the Marlins, but they're 5-1 in first place in the division. Starting pitching has been very good. Hitting's been sporadic, but we have some bright spots. So we'll see. We'll get back with you after the series with Miami and take a look at where the Yankees stand then. So for Nathan, I'm Ralph. Thanks for joining us on a New York State of Mind, and we'll see you next time.